Welcome to the Flat Truth. Today we're going to be looking at the southern stars, the geocentric Earth or immovable Earth, and the universe that we know of. Now, why are we going to do this? Because the truth could be in the stars. Now, looking into the subject, we need to look at what the science says, the known science. I'm not going to be looking at some theories, conjecture. I'm going to be looking at solid science to see what it says. Now, whether you believe in a flat earth, a ball earth, it is very important to look at the science, particularly in regards to the stars, and read them and say, what are you telling me about the earth that we're living on, the universe we live in? Now, I've shown in previous videos how in the southern hemisphere there's absolutely stars that rotate clockwise due south. I've got a picture of Rotorua, New Zealand, where I live, which shows pointing south. These stars are rotating. I looked out my own door, got my compass out looking south, and saw within a 4-hour period the stars rotating around the distance that we would expect them to rotate in 4 hours. I've shown that what people have said, what the ocean-going sailors have known for years, is that we can tell where we are on the earth according to the stars, and that is in the southern hemisphere as well. So you can be known that whether you live in Australia, New Zealand, South America, South Africa, if you look due south, there will be stars rotating around which are different to the stars rotating around the northern hemisphere. This is scientific fact, and any theory that you want to believe in needs to take this into consideration and come up with a plausible scientific reason for this behavior in the stars. So, if we're looking at an immovable Earth, where the stars actually rotate around each other, but the Earth stays immovable, this is what we'd be looking at. We're looking at Ptolemy's model of the universe. Now, this has been around for 2,000 years. Beautiful picture of the spirals that the sun and the planets make as they rotate around the universe from the Earth's perspective. What a beautiful sight. So this was accepted for 1500 years, up until the year 1500 AD, when they decided to change things on us. They thought they needed something much more simple, so they went to the model we know of today, Copernicus. So we've got the sun in the middle, every other Earth and planet rotating around the sun. Now, yes, it does look simple and it seems quite reasonable that this could be the case. Now, if you know history, if you have known the truth of God or of Jesus in your life, you know that the Bible tells us something quite different, that the earth is immovable, and then the sun was created after the earth was already there. Now, if the earth was to rotate around the sun would have to be there first. There are other scriptures that we can go into, but I will not do that today. Now, the point of the subject today is, what sort of earth are we living on? Does it rotate? Does it go around the sun? or is it immovable? And the whole stars or the planets and the sun rotate around each other. Let's look at the science. Alright, well, the first real notable scientific experiment from Airy was taken out in 1871. It got known as Airy's failure. So, the telescope, it was known that the telescope had to be tilted slightly for the starlight to come down directly into the telescope's centre. Now this was thought that because of the Earth moving that we had to tilt the telescope. Now Airy had a great idea that if we fill the telescope up with water, as the light came through, it would slow down the light ray, and if the telescope was still, then the light will still come down straight into the centre of the telescope. However, if the telescope / the Earth was moving with the movement of the Earth, then the light ray would move off centre of the telescope and could be measured, and we'd be able to tell whether the Earth, and therefore the telescope, is moving, or whether the telescope / the Earth is still. Well, it got known as Airy's failure because of the failure to pick up any movement in the Earth. So, solid scientific proof that the Earth is immovable. Right, decade following, 1887, Michelson-Morley experiment. They decided to split the light. It would come across these mirrors and it would come back together into some sort of a reader or a telescope, or you could use a screen interferometer. We would pick up the light rays, and if there'd been any interference within the rays, any change, whether they'd come back together or sort of separated. And they can read this, and thousands of tests have been done since this original Michelson-Morley experiment in 1887 to try to come up with a reading which portrayed that the Earth was spinning around the Sun and that light was moving and the Earth was rotating. Again, failure. They have never found a genuine scientific experiment that can prove that the Earth absolutely rotates and not that the stars rotate around us. So there's two well-known now experiments commonly spoken of in the geocentric circles. So I did show you that picture, how they wanted something that seems so simple, the heliocentric model. Much more simple than our beautiful picture of the little circles that is made in these planets and the sun as they rotate around each other and around the Earth as the sun rotates daily. Modern planetariums actually use this model for the appearance of the sky as viewed from a stationary Earth. So in the planetarium projector, motors and gears provide the motion of all of this so that we can see what we observe with our eyes. This is accurate as to what we observe with our eyes. So the science is there. You look up to the sky, this is what you see, or something very close. Now let's look at the heliocentric model with the sun at a centre and every object rotating around it. Now we do say a centre, we sort of mean the barycenter, but because the sun is so big, it's close to the sun where everything rotates around. Now, we know it's going at, according to theory, at ridiculous speeds, 600 kilometers per second, rotating around space. The sun itself is not even going straight. Okay, it wobbles as Jupiter comes around and pulls it through. It actually wobbles about the equivalent of 58 Earth diameters, or 743,000 kilometers or so, in a 12-year orbit of Jupiter. It's also circling around space as well, doing a huge arc in this model. So it's travelling at one speed incredibly fast. The planets are also travelling in another direction, going around the sun. This looks incredibly complicated to me. Now, what do you think? Yeah, okay, maybe it's not so basic after all. Maybe they've been lying? Yeah. Have you ever experienced this motion? If you go and sit in your car, you drive around, as soon as you move from straight to the left or to right, you try and do circles at the same time as you're driving forwards, or let's say you're flying a plane, you're going to notice any motion off one point, aren't you? You're going to notice it. No one has ever noticed this motion. No scientific experiment has ever found it. Every experiment they've done, literally thousands of variations off the Michelson-Morley experiment, over large distances, they've done these experiments and they haven't found the necessary motion to back up this theory of the heliocentric model. I'm telling you, the science says that the Earth is immovable. Now, scientists had to bring in all sorts of theories of relativity to try and explain why we can't experience this motion. But the truth is that there is no motion. God made this Earth immovable. It's the only place we know of that can hold life, can hold water, because it's immovable. If it was flying through the universe, you couldn't have the conditions to survive, to live. This is the perfect habitation for God's children. A beautiful place we call Earth. Let's look at these patterns again. How beautiful is that? The sun and the planets, they rotate around each other, regardless of the Earth. But the Earth is there, immovable, and the sun goes around every day. Lights up our world and provides this beauty that we can sit back and look up at the night sky and think, wow, what a world. The wonders of God. 100% scientific and real and true and genuine. No theories needed. It is what it is. It is what we observe. If you want to believe in the heliocentric model, where the Earth is firing around the universe, you need to then have faith in some theories that are not proven. They are theories. But if you want to look at the scientific truth, the scientific facts, every time has pointed towards an immovable Earth. Everything else has motion, not the Earth. Now it's time you looked at the truth, not just scientific truth, but the truth that we do live in God's creation, that Jesus is real, and that He wants to light up your world. The world is in a sorry state. It has removed God out of society. The morals are in decline. The world has been taken over by atheist scientists, atheist politicians that are doing their best to lie to you and remove God out of your life. It's time for you to pray. Ask God, ask Jesus into your world, into your life. Even evolution, the Big Bang Theory, it needs a miracle to get it started before the theory can kick in. This world is impossible without a miracle provider. That's God. It's who you need. So let Him into your life. Be happy. God is good, and He wants to know you. He wants you to know Him. Open up your life. Keep studying. Keep asking. Seek the truth, and it will be found. The ultimate truth, that being Jesus. I hope you enjoyed this message today. I'm really serious because I know you could know all the truth scientifically, the planets, the stars, all sorts of scientific truth. But if you miss the fact that Jesus, well, He is love. He is the life that holds everything together, that gives you air to breathe, that brings these systems into place so we survive. He is the reason for our existence. Let Him into your life. He's waiting for you today. Thank you.